so many things I could say about Josh and Melissa, but it's their turn to talk, not mine. So I'm going to keep it brief and short. Just a few examples from the very most recent races that I know firsthand. Between the two of them, they cover just about every aspect of what goes on with race teams in this paddock. And I'll let them give you the details on that. Just one example is this man here is tied with the all-time record of number one podiums in the American Motorcycle Association road racing. And unfortunately had a small setback this weekend. But I'm sure we'll see him own the record for too long. He's still a young man, living by my terms, although I kid about that all the time. Melissa is a team principal in addition to being a rider. She's a rider coach. She's an incredible crew chief. I pretty much watched her take a completely destroyed bike, dismantle it completely, put it in a new frame, and the next day had her rider go out and finish P1 in the race. That was really amazing. And she was up until at least 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm usually the last man standing, but she was still working when I finally went to bed. So I have the incredible respect, not only for her ability, but her dedication to what she does. So I'm going to stop at that point, because otherwise I keep going on. And, so I'm going to turn it over. I just say that working this the first time, you got to hold it close. And I'll let you share it. Okay?
Well, first off, thank you guys for having us. Also, thank you guys for being here. We, of course, could not have an event without you guys. And I'm very thankful, particularly this weekend. Thankful for you guys taking care of me out in turn 2. I managed to get it wrong. It happens from time to time. My daddy told me a long time ago, if you're going to be dumb, you better be tough. And I've been asking for this probably for a while. I've had a nice long career. So, yeah, we're thankful that you guys are here. And they asked us to come over and kind of hang out and speak with you guys. And honestly, these are kind of funny things. I'm not quite sure what to talk about. I think Melissa would probably agree. I'll let her kind of say a few words too. But we do a lot better with questions. Like if you guys have things that you're curious about, I can get long-winded on answers, but when you just ask me to pull something out of the rafters, it's kind of hard to come up with things to talk about sometimes. So I was fortunate enough when I got here to hear some good stories about what I sound like when I'm really not there. I'm there, but I'm not there. I've heard some funny ones before. Now, just so you know, another funny one. I came out of surgery one time, and well, Melissa was there. The nurse came in, and I kept asking her. I said, "Did my surgeon ever remove a foot?" Melissa said, "Well, what are you talking about? I think I had my appendix fixed." And I go, "Dude, did the surgeon big?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" I go, "Dude, it feels like he stepped on both the lenses while he was working on me the whole time." So, not the first time I didn't have something to say. I'm really sorry. So, hi, here's my wife, Melissa.
Yeah, he really did say that. I guess I just want to thank you guys all for being here and helping us out. I think you guys are really underrated as a rider, and now like on the other side of it, like you guys have probably the most important job safety-wise out there. So it means a lot that you guys are out there keeping my boys safe. And apologies for anything I might have said to anyone while waiting for an update on Josh's condition. I was under a lot of stress and I didn't mean it. So, but like Josh said, I think these is really a lot easier if you guys have questions that we get to answer for you, because otherwise we're just up here talking about ourselves like we're just, that's weird.
Do you envision a racing career for Hawk?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I think you'd have to want it a lot. He's a really that's cool. It makes zero difference to him. So, like, you can't really goad him into things. And I think Josh would back me up. I think a lot of racers are people that like being told that they're awesome. You know, that's why we go out and do stupid stuff. You know what I mean? And it's interesting because Hawk is really proficient on a motorcycle from a really young age. He's got great balance, and it's really cool to watch him ride. But I'm not sure if he wants to be honest. His little sister, on the other hand, she might be our racer.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Hawk's been kind of funny because I think she undersells how bad she wants him to ride motorcycles. And I think in my mind, both of us, we want a riding buddy for the rest of our lives in Hawk. Whether he's a racer or not, I honestly, I don't care. What I hope I can do is in even doing what I'm doing now. I'm 47 years old and I'm banged up because I was trying so hard to do something I'm very passionate about. I would hope that he would learn that it's worth it to risk a lot for that thing in your life that's special and you're passionate about, whatever it may be, and work hard for it. So, but yeah, she was saying that our daughter, she's a little different. I mean, she's only 16 months, but every scooter that rides by, every bicycle that goes by, she's like, so, yeah, she's trying to get on a Hawk's bike and stuff like that. Unfortunately, with us living on the road in a travel trailer, we haven't seen our home since April. We haven't had the opportunity to really spend a lot of time with her doing that because we can only bring so much stuff. So I'm sure this is going to be a long off season of her in a strider or running into the couch and a big bag and flipping over the cars just like Hawk did. Next question.
Yeah, you've been doing this a long time. What drives you to do this? What's your passion about it that you like that keeps you in it?
Another good question, I guess. I think, I loved motorcycles. I had an uncle that rode, and I think probably the first time I rode a street bike was just the sense of acceleration was pretty exciting. And, I went and tried club racing, and I got to feel more than even the turning and, let's say, dragging a knee was that sense of acceleration. I got to feel it several times a lap. And so that was pretty addictive. It kind of started as something as simple as that, quite honestly. At some point, when you kind of figure out that you're fairly proficient at it, I think the competition side of things is really what brought me to it. And even now, I feel lucky that I found the thing in this world that I was pretty good at and learned, and that I can be off for a while and come back and still ride and do things at a very high level. But I think what really brings the best out of me is when you put me in a situation to go out and compete and race. I just live for that, and I was very fortunate to win a lot of championships and a lot of things, a lot of races. I can tell you very honestly and very selfishly, all I wanted to do was win every single session that I went out and rode. Every time I felt like my entire career was based on the very next session that I went out and rode motorcycles. So I strive for excellence each time I went out there, and I have that feeling of doing the thing you're good at, and it just kept me going. And I was a late bloomer, I didn't get to do this until after I graduated high school. I didn't really ride until after I graduated high school, got a job, and I managed to make it quite a few years, and then you realize I've got a South Mississippi high school education. I've been racing motorcycles for quite a few years, so I'm 30 years old or whatever at the time, and you go, I got no work history, got a high school education. I don't really have a good plan if this doesn't work, so you better start figuring it out, right? So I was very motivated to risk a lot. I was never going to do anything this cool again, and I knew that, so I was very thankful for every moment I got. And motivation can be mind games that you find from anywhere. On hard days, it might be, I don't want to let my crew down. I want to impress the girls. Like that one. It can be anything, and this sport gave me the opportunity to be able to do that.
This is a good comment. That explains why you did that and practice one, not qualifying. Practiced.
I think for me, like I came up playing a lot of like more typical sports. I played baseball, you know, I did swim team, did all that stuff. Baseball for me was like a big thing. I was really passionate about it. I played on a boys team until I was 15. And it was the only thing in my life I think I ever really worked really, really hard at as a kid. And I saw results and I loved it. And then at some point, like the boys hit puberty and they were a lot bigger than me and I couldn't keep up anymore. And I think after that I tried a lot of different stuff. And I was like honestly a little bit adrift, I think. And I was at university when I just happened to learn how to ride a motorcycle. And suddenly I found something that it was worth it to me to put in the work. Like, you know, you try a lot of stuff. You know, I went and bought a guitar. I'm like, I'm gonna learn how to play guitar. This is hard. I don't want to do it. You know, I think we all like do that with a lot of stuff. And I think riding motorcycles was the first thing that I was like, this is hard, but I'm gonna figure it out. You know, and so kind of a little bit of like a sickness, trying to get the most out of it you can.
You should probably do the ride GPP. I figured.
That's absolutely.
Hey Josh, I'm old enough to remember you having a few MotoGP rides. What was it?
Just one.
It was just the one. But you scored points. You did pretty well. You were deputising for Colin Edwards, correct?
I was. It was, I think, a small spot of light on a very dark time. Colin had been involved in the Marco Simoncelli incident where Marco had gotten killed.
Yeah.
And I had been... A little bit of a story here. I remember going in to sign a 2-year contract with Keith McCarty for Superbike, and I was 36 years old. And I said, I just was sitting there. I was thinking about this as Keith handed me his contract, and I'm like, this is my team. I'm going to sign this contract. And I was looking at it, and I looked at Keith, and I said, the only sad thing about this is like I'm going to make a career out of racing motorcycles, which I feel very lucky about. But this is it. Like the chances at 38 years old, me going to the World Championship in any way, shape, or form, like I may not have a hope now, but I know I'm not going to have a hope at 38. You know, whenever I sign this contract, and it's really only the only thing that makes me even hesitant or sad about signing a contract like this. And he heard me, and a little bit later he called me and he said, "Hey, listen. I want to do this. Well, you've done a good job for us." And so he had arranged so that at the end of the weekend in Valencia, when all the tests, all the guys go get on their new motorcycles and go test for their new teams, typically on the Tuesday after the event, I was going to get to ride the Tech 3 MotoGP bike during the test day and just ride it for the day of the test, which was an incredible opportunity. So Yamaha sent me to Valencia to go do this. And about 2 weeks before the race, Keith McCarty called and he goes, "Hey, listen, Colin's not going to be able to ride, so they want to know if you can have leathers in time. You're just going to race the event." And I said, "I'm sorry, what?" And so yeah, it kind of came about that all of a sudden now I'm going to race it on a creek, and it was incredible and it was incredibly overwhelming. I think the Thursday was kind of clear. We knew that it was going to be bad. Friday morning when we get up here to the track, it's an absolute downpour. And I had never sat on a GP bike. I'd never been around Valencia. They were on these Bridgestone rain tires and, all this stuff. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me, right? Like, okay, well, all the big wigs are here, so it's not going to be such a big deal. And I remember I had my suit on and they were getting ready to roll out and they opened the garage door and there must have been 50 photographers there to take a picture of me. And I was just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. You know what I mean? Like, but I'll say that in that weekend, I got to ride a MotoGP bike 6 sessions. First 3 were wet. All the pre-practices were wet. It was completely dry for qualifying. So qualifying was the first time I ever rode a dry Bridgestone slick tire and carbon brakes on a full-blown GP deal. And I remember I was like second to last, and the other test rider, Nakasuga, followed me and picked me to put me last on the grid. But it was like just the steepest learning curve you can imagine for one session. I got 60 minutes to try to figure it out. The morning warm-up was wet but drying, and everybody was on reins. And I came in with full of brains. There was about 4 minutes left, and there was a dry line that was so tiny around the racetrack. And I looked at them. I knew they did flag races. I said, "Can I take the slick tire bike out?" And they looked at me like I had a horn growing out of my head. They said, "What?" I go, "Really? I don't know what the race is going to be like. Can I go ride this thing?" So I rolled out and ended up leading a MotoGP session. I led the morning warm-ups, which was pretty incredible. And then in the race, there was a lot of attrition, but also I managed the conditions fairly well. I had quite a few guys come back to me and managed to finish 7th in a really difficult MotoGP race. And all I can say is I can attribute that to the lessons I had learned here and the routines and the things that I had figured out. New Jersey is a really good example. Sunday morning warm-up in New Jersey, it was misting on the track. It was kind of dodgy conditions. And I said, okay, I just went out and did my 15 minutes of work figuring out as much as I could about the racetrack. And it prepared me well for Sunday's race that afternoon, which ended up being in the exact same conditions. And all these experiences just helped me kind of get through that and have a very successful GP.
Yeah, because, 7th in your first MotoGP is just
it was pretty
astonishing. We can all name riders who've made a career out of coming 15th for several years.
Irving, Montreal, those guys, the whole Tech 3 team, they were incredible to me. They were so kind to me. And I remember Hervé saying, listen, I don't think you understand. Carlos Checa had raced in the Grand Prix for a decade, and then he had gone and won the World Superbike Championship, and they gave him a guest ride at Valencia the year before, and he got lapped in the GP race on the Ducati, right? It's like he had been here for a long time. So what you did was pretty incredible. And I said, Hervé, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? There's so many weird things that happen. The first session in the rain, I rode 60 minutes nonstop. I never came in, and he was just like, in all my years, I've never seen anybody do that. Why did he come in? I go, what was I going to change? I have too much to figure out there, Then I lead a session, and then have a pretty decent race. And he said, man, I'm so sorry, you're the right rider at the wrong time. They're never going to talk about putting a 36-year in. Colin was that age, but Colin had spent a lifetime in the World Championship. They weren't going to bring a completely new rookie in at 30-something years old and send them racing. So I was thankful for the opportunity. It was an incredible experience, and from there, I went on to have one of the most incredible seasons ever in MotoAmerica in 2020, where I won the championship, winning 16 out of 20 races, and it really kind of springboarded me into a fantastic part of my life. Do you have any memories of that you want to speak of? You want to tell them? So, one other thing that came from me getting to do this was they offered for Melissa to be able to test on Tuesday, and she still got to do that.
You're supposed to be a Moto2 bike.
Originally, she was going to get on the Tech 3 Moto2 bike, which I think is called a Mistral. And Hervé goes, no, you're going to ride the GP bike. And she's like, no, I'm good. I like the Moto2 bike. And he goes, no, you're going to ride a GP bike. And so Tuesday morning, we roll out there, and the track was a little spotty, so most of the guys hadn't gone out. And they go, all right, Melissa, the bike's ready. And when we've seen other guests get to ride GP bikes, they don't always tell the whole story. A lot of times they'll ride on the steel brakes that we ride on here in America, or on our super bikes, or they'll ride in the rain. They don't get the carbon brakes like the real experience. And they typically don't get race tires. Melissa got the bike that Cal rode. You got Cal on the Crutchlow's bike at the time. She got his primary bike set up as he raced it with a full tank of gas. And the deal was, okay, you're going to go out and ride 10 or 12 laps and come in, and then you're going to get to do it a second time. And so it was like a true experience that she got to do it. So when she rolled out and down pit lane, Cal and I were kind of giggling, and we walked out on pit lane, and I remember he took his phone and was like recording her, and she came around, and she had never seen the track either, and she came up the front straightaway with the thing full stick. And she was tucked in, and we couldn't even see her. The windscreens and the bodywork of the GP bike were really big. She just disappeared. I looked like a monkey on that. I was giant on that thing compared to everybody out there. And she just disappeared. And I think her first flying lap up the front straightaway, her track speeds were faster than mine were all weekend. So even in qualifying. So it was pretty impressive. And I remember us having this conversation where I was like, Hey, listen, Mel, like, just think about this for a second. This was the last ever race of the 800 era that became 1000s. That day, all those guys tested the 1000 that afternoon. And I go, you know, most people would tell you, like, if you crash it, they're never going to let you ride it again. I got news for you. They're never going to let you ride it again. So you better go get the most out of it.
You didn't say that until like after the it's too late. Like,
I'm pretty sure I did. I think I was even like, you might not even need to come in. You just do what you want, because this thing's just going in a museum or something when it's done anyhow.
With Cam and the push for Americans to go over to the World Series or like their MotoGP, have you ever considered being like a video coach over them over there as a family, mind you?
Well, you know, logistically it's a little difficult, but have I been interested in it? Yes, and quite honestly, Joe Roberts, a few times when he was at COTA, he would ask me to come help him, and I did help him, and we discussed me going to more races, and then with the team and this and that, the logistics just don't work out. I can tell you that when you're working with racers don't like to pay for anything. It's just in general. And Cameron kind of had his own crew of people. I helped Garrett for a year here in MotoAmerica when he got on his really good run when he won at Laguna. Like that year, we kind of worked together for that season. I went to his first race in Australia, whenever he did World Superbike there. But even though I was Yamaha people, I wasn't Yamaha Europe, and I was a bit of an outsider. They had Canepa as kind of their rider guy over there, and when I came in, just because I had other friends in the paddock I said hi to, they were kind of like shy about, we don't know that we want him to see our data and things like that. So it's a little difficult. They're not incredibly welcoming when you go there, even as a rider, especially as a rider. I think typically you like anything else, you have to go there and you have to take your beatings and you have to prove yourself and kind of become one of them. Kind of like, you know, we don't really look at and think of Matt Stoltz and Cam Peterson as outsiders. They're South African, but there are people that they've been here beating their head against the wall for a long time. So it takes a while for that to happen, but you know, if the right opportunity comes around, for sure I would have interest in it. And I really enjoyed the time I spent over there, and I really badly want to see some of our people do a good job. Come on, guys.
This is for Melissa. What's it like working with the BTR program?
I'm actually not working with it anymore, but
Well, in the past, though.
yeah, I mean, it was really cool. I love the idea. Like the first year of it, I was actually a participant, so I got to build a flat track bike and go race it. And for me, I think it was actually like a little bit life changing. You know, I worked with Josh a little bit as a crew chief. You know, and I was working with Cam Peterson at the time, but I never taken a bike out of a crate and turned it into a race bike before, and I didn't actually think I could. You know what I mean? Like I had no reason to believe I was capable of doing that until I was put into a situation where that was my job and I had to do it. And so to have that opportunity and to pull it off and to win a race on a bike that I built myself, it was kind of like eye-opening, and I think I realized like there's like more opportunity, you know. So that was just in 2020, and like now here I am. I built this cut bike in our workshop at our house that's won races here. So I'm really thankful because I believe in that. I believe in putting people in a situation and forcing them to learn how to do something, and having the opportunity to work with like all the new crop of girls who do the same thing. Like a lot of them come in and they're like, well, I don't know how to do that, or my husband's always done it for me, or whatever it is. It's cool to be like, no, like you can't do it. Like literally, like you can do the whole thing. Like you can from start to finish, you can build a race bike. Like there's nothing special about it. Like you just have to have someone to show you what to do. So I think that's my favorite part of it, maybe even more than like coaching the riders, is just seeing like some of these girls become more self-sufficient, like with their bikes, and have a couple of them, you know, like last year they were all total beginners, so they'd never been to a racetrack before. So that was pretty cool just in its like own right. But this year there's girls that have been club racing maybe or doing track days, but like a couple of them were like, well gosh, like before my boyfriend or my husband like couldn't go with me to the track day, I wouldn't go because I was like afraid if I needed to like work on my bike, I won't know how or whatever it is. And now they're like, oh yeah, it's no problem. Or even better when they're like, someone came and asked me for help, and like I know how to help people now. I think that's cool. Like we need more people that are like comfortable and confident working on their own bikes.
Thank you.
I rebuilt mine by.
Perfect. I love it.
I crashed the road Atlanta July 31. I'll be here Monday.
I was gonna ride on Monday. Josh ruined it for me.
I crashed at Barber on September.
I didn't break anything, man.
She's had to rebuild a few of my messes too.
As bad as his R6 looks from yesterday, we've got another one on the table at home that I think we might have actually done a worse number on in the preseason.
It looked pretty bad.
I was
Really?
I was on turn 1. I saw it.
I was coaching.
He was coaching during the off season at Chapala, and I don't know. He doesn't know what happened, but the thing became airborne, and I mean things broke on it that I've never actually seen break on a motorcycle before. It was incredible. Like.
Melted the wiring harness.
Yeah, the wiring harness came apart, arced across the frame. He crashed it so hard the throttle body's like popped off.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I don't do
So-
stuff halfway.
What was your favorite bike to race?
Both of you too. I'm
Yeah,
curious.
both of you. That goes to both of you.
Man, that's a difficult question to answer. I will tell you that throughout the years, you spend a lot of time with each of these things, and each of them kind of becomes a part of you, and something that you were able to do something special with. And so, like, I got quite a few because they all became, part of me, kind of. I remember when we came here, the 600 Super Sport bike in 1999. I was doing the best work of my life at that time on that bike. Our Formula Extreme bikes were these 750 board and stroke to 840s with like dry clutches from the World Superbike team and flat slides, and they were such cool motorcycles. It was my first experience with like triple clamps and fancy suspension and big brakes and all this stuff. And I moved on and raced this or that. I remember the Honda 600s were pretty special for me. I won a lot of races on those. The first gen cross-plane crankshaft R1s, probably a little closer to my heart than the current ones, just because we were able to do such good work, and the team, for a couple years there, I was the only rider on the team, so development was solely built around me, and then I was able to see other guys come in as teammates like Cam Bovier, Josh Heron, Larry Pegram, Chris Clark, and get some of the best results of their life on a bike that was kind of mine, So they all kind of held a special place for me. And the GP bike was pretty cool, but I never had the opportunity to make it mine. I really had no understanding of how to ride that motorcycle. So I would say it would be some of those bikes, that felt like an extension of myself, like I could do anything with. It was special. I know her answer.
The dating game.
I mean,
Let's see.
I think, like as far as something like I just want to go out and ride tomorrow, for sure my R1. Like it's just fun, it's a good time. But the most fun I've ever had on a motorcycle for sure is my RS 250. When I started riding my 250, I've been riding 200s and weird stuff, and like honestly really struggling. And I'd kind of come to a point that I was like, I don't think I'm gonna get any better at this. Like I'm gonna have an hour at a time. And we decided to take a step back and found this RS 250 that we bought from a guy in Canada who did terrible things to it, and we were able to turn it around and make a really special race bike out of it. I don't think I've ever been so confident on anything, and it always felt like a privilege to get to ride it, And I still have it. It's sitting in my workshop, and it's hard because people are always like, why don't you just take it out and like do a track day? And it's like a laundry machine. It's like insert coins, like just keep going, because just to make the thing go, they literally consume parts, like so like pistons and cranks and everything. And so and you can't just, it's not like my R1, like I could just go to the track by myself, I would put gas in it, hit the start button and go right. Like you need like a team of people to make a real Grand Prix bike work, you know, and sometimes, you know, someone's like, just cut it so it's really rich, but it's not the same, you know, like you want them when they're tuned like right to the edge and like everything's like on the verge of killing you, you know what I mean? But when you've got one of those and it's working really good, it's just like amazing. And it's so funny because actually when I got to ride the 800, I, like in my opinion, I'd just gotten to ride Josh's Superbike, like not long before that. And when I rode Josh's Superbike, it was miserable. Like I hated it.
It hated her.
And it hated me back. Like it was wild. The thing just shook like violently. The only time it didn't shake was when I had it like at full lean, and I couldn't understand how to ride it. Like it made no sense to me. And it was like it pitched a lot. Like when you'd be on the gas and on the brakes, and I hated it. Honestly, I was like, I'll never ride 1,000. This thing sucks. And then, so I was really nervous about riding the GP bike because I was like, well, the Superbike nearly killed me. Like, what's going to happen? But like Josh says, the GP bike didn't make sense to him. Like, to me, it did. They're just so rigid, you know, and they don't, like, transfer weight so much. And, like, I just think it was what I was used to because the 250 was the same. You know, like, I used to say, like, you could, like, feel what was happening with your tires, like, in your teeth. You know what I mean? And then when I'd get on a 600 or 1,000, I'd be like, I don't know, I feel like it's giving me silent treatment. Like, I have no idea what's happening until I'm, like, sliding on the racetrack or any of these. So that's, like, the thing I really like about Grand Prix bikes. Like, I think they're just nasty.
My Superbike, she looked like a cartoon. Like her hands were on the bars and she was flapping behind me while we were going down the racetrack.
You could tell that was terrifying.
Anybody else?
And so, you guys have any like superstitions or anything? Or, like, you know, like you have to wear blue underwear?
My race number is 13, so I don't believe in bad luck.
I honestly, I can't think of anything like.
Make your own luck.
Yeah, I was told that very harshly a couple of times too. I can't really think of anything that was really out there. I mean, we all have our little things that we're particular about that we want to see on our board or something like that. It just feels like normal, but. No, about the only thing that ever came around bad for me was I was like, I'm not drinking an energy drink before a race again. Because I remember in 2006 when we raced at Miller for the first time, I had about a half of a Monster Energy, and then I ended up winning the first race I had won for quite a while. And it was a big deal. That was our first time ever at Miller. The next race was at Laguna Seca with MotoGP, and I don't know if you guys would remember watching 2006. It was hot. That's the year that the track came apart, and it was roosting everybody. It was 122 on the grid when we were preparing for the race, and I thought, well, half a Monster Energy drink will help me win. What will a full one do? Win by 10 seconds? Turns out it'll give you poopy pants. So, I think that's where I was told you make your own luck by the boss man. But that would probably be about the only one. I kind of stay away from those before the race now. All right, well, I think if we're done, you got
I've
something?
got one last question for you. We did something like this, I don't know how many years ago, and I asked you at that point, what about, what aspect of racing have you not done that you would like to do? I don't know whether you remember what you said to that.
I do not.
You said you'd like to be a crew chief.
Oh, I said that.
You remember that?
I said that?
You did say that.
I think the answer is no now.
I just have to, when you said, yeah, I'm up for it, but you're going to have to ask Melissa whether she'll do this with you. I did. I just have to mention what you had said there, and like she was completely surprised.
I've asked you this.
I have done it in the interim a little bit. I have not done it as a full-time gig. And I can tell you that my experience in working with some top-level teams enjoying the technical aspects of the motorcycle and being in the unique position of, because I liked that and I asked questions and then I would go out and ride the bike and actually feel what the differences were and how it felt in my hands and things like that. I believe I have a fair aptitude for it, and that in the right scenario I could enjoy that job. I haven't exactly gone seeking that job, but I feel like that feeling inside of me, the same one that I had never raced a motorcycle in my life, and I said, I just feel like I understand this, like it makes sense to me. I feel a little bit that way about crew chief, and that at some point in my life it might be a fun challenge to take on in a more full-time aspect. I'll definitely have to work on my penmanship and my paperwork a little bit to make that happen, but I'm fortunate that I do get to dabble in it, honestly, quite a bit, because I'm backseat crew chief, as you said. With the riders I'm working with, sometimes I'm spending a lot of time with their crew chiefs talking about communication, putting across my experience and listening to them talk and saying, this is what, communication, this is what I think they're trying to say to you. So I kind of got my hands a little dirty in it. I just, like I said, I haven't really attacked it in full-time form, but I'm watching Melissa do it, and then again, it's pretty stressful, I think, sometimes.
No, absolutely. I don't know whether I've been turning the fan off and trying to get as much noise out of here as I could.
I mean, honestly, I think Josh would be an amazing crew chief. Like it's pretty cool like how I got into this. He was my first rider, and it was pretty awesome for me because he would ride and he could very easily come in and just said, put 2 turns in 3 1, but he never did that. He would walk me into the answer that he was looking for, so it was a really good way for me to learn stuff. I mean, I knew like the little bits that I need just from riding, but for sure, Josh, I didn't ever ride at the level that he did and a lot of the riders I worked with have. So having him like kind of come in and give me like all the clues and sort of gently guide me to the solution, I think was like, I'm lucky. I don't know that there's like any other mechanic like in this paddock that had that opportunity. Like most people start off with the guy in the back of the pack, not the guy like winning everything. So that was really cool. And then to go from working with him to working with Cam Peterson, like again, like he's a really accomplished racer and he communicates really well. And I think I learned so much. And I always had in my back pocket that if I'm just not sure, I'm a little stuck. Like, I mean, almost I think every rider I work with, Josh has coached them. So he's kind of been like a crutch, I think, in a lot of ways for me where, like I'm hearing something, it's not making sense. And sometimes he can help draw out what I need, from the rider or explain it to me in a different way or offer a different perspective. It's not even just Josh. Like, I think I'm really lucky I have a lot of people in this paddock that I look to for advice. Like, I think something that makes me different is appreciation than others is I have no problem saying that I have no idea what the answer is, but I know someone who does. So I think, like, that's kind of my superpower is my ability to ask for help from people. So, I've got great people at Owens and even at other teams who are, like, so helpful to me and so willing to teach me stuff. And, like, I really, like, owe a lot to all of them, for making it kind of a gentle process of learning for me. So.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you guys, and hopefully you guys get to enjoy your burgers, which have been getting cold over here for quite a while. Sorry we're long-winded. But thank you guys for being here, and end of the season. I was hoping I would get to come back. I don't know if many of you will be back for the GNF. That was the plan, and that's that up. So I won't be back around endurance here. I'm sure we will see you guys around next season. I think we both plan to be here. Thank you guys.
We better see you.
Yeah.